become as little children. These shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. End quote. Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. If at times there seems to be repetition, please remember, the Self Love Show is a lesson, not a lecture. Like, share, subscribe, comment.
And even in this instance, if I could be of service to a 9-year-old girl or a 19-year-old woman or girl who wants to be a woman, is to really remember that self-love is the best way that you can receive love from anybody else, because it's coming from you. A lot of times we forget that. We look externally for this love. We look externally for this feeling of validation and adoration and approval, and it has to come from within.
Like, share, subscribe.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
That ain't not the truth. Everybody say they want the truth, but they can't handle it. Yeah. They don't take too kindly, you know, you can't handle the truth around here. Now respect our troops. You're gonna respect our troops. They fought for my right to kill you if you don't respect them. Free the guys, man. Check that 13th Amendment, write your congressperson. The least we can do, huh? Yeah, buddy.
I'm just a kid from Chicago.
Absolutely.
I'm just a kid from Chicago.
Shot time. Self-love.
I'm just a kid from
Vision.
Chicago. Trying to make a way in the game of life, trying to make a play. I'm just a kid from Chicago.
Silverbacks into the building.
I'm just a kid from Chicago.
Yeah, buddy.
Trying to make a change. Why these haters wanna take me out
See, it's a
the
change.
game? Just a kid from Chicago.
Yeah.
Stacking on the low, hands up if you made it in the go. I'm
Just a kid from Chicago.
Era of street thieves, cause terror
Yeah,
when we
buddy.
squeeze. Home of stuffing sets.
Welcome.
Collectors with CDs, the
Welcome.
the foes.
Welcome
Let Kings CDs, the white lord the stones.
to Chi-Town's very own
All we know is go hard.
The
In the go, we go hard. All we
Self
know is
Love
right
Show.
now, we don't wait on no God. We don't pray to no star. I'm saying that we
Well, our
ain't the
first
end,
motto
but niggas
is
die daily in Jeff City, the craziest. Maybe
on
I need
earth
to pray or take the easy way. Somebody
as it is in
come
heaven.
to Farrakhan so we can meet the day.
One love to the
Going down where
ancestors.
the blood spills and meet the K. The cops
Thank you.
and they meat wagons. Don't get caught up in these beef lacking.
Second motto, as above, so below. Right now, we can be found Malcolm exclusively right here on the YouTube channel. This ain't that network, as we affectionately say. TATN. Big ups to TATN. Big ups to the network. Yo, this is your co-host, Nine Mills, also known as one of the selves. Yeah, buddy. What down, what down, what down? Repeat after me. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. Today is Tuesday, June 15, 2021. As always, I'd like to acknowledge that we can be any place in this vast universe. And thankfully, we all scooted chose to be here together. Here together. What down, what down, what down. Self love what you manifesting today, brother Wordsmith.
Love, self. I'm manifesting love. What you manifesting?
Hey, you know me, bro. Pure, unfiltered, magnanimous, sometimes gentle, oftentimes tough, but all the time, nothing but love, my brother. What's been going on the South Side?
Been beautiful, beautiful. This weekend was love. Well, at least where I was at, it was love. It was very hot and warm, so there was some shootings.
Oh, you mean they got the Blickies gone, huh? The Blickies were going, the ghetto symphonies.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace to all those who fell. Get well to all those who are on the mend, and condolences to the families.
On a lighter note,
And no ups to the string pullers. Say that again, bro.
That's it. And on a lighter note, production jumped the gun.
Did they?
Yeah.
What happened?
I had to cut the video off before you was on the screen.
Did they? Yeah, that's all right. I mean, production's production, man. You know what I mean? Big ups to production, by the way. Big ups. Yeah, man.
Big
So I today, we got some, announcements, but before we get into the announcements, this is part two, part one of this gang series or social club series, Self Love and Unpack, last Tuesday. This is a running series, by the way. It's going to be completed in 3 parts. Hopefully, it's not a never-ending story, but that pendulum sure appears to be a never-ending story, because when we get the pendulum to stop swinging or to slow down, we get a nice push from. Is it from 12? Is it from the powers that be? But there's pushes. Oh, there's some funny shit going on. There's some funny shit going on, and our people, excuse my language, our children are the ones that are falling victims to it. Our communities and us. We're victims to it. You can sit quiet and sit idly by and act like it's not happening, and act like you don't care, but it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I digress. Today's show, we're talking about gang activity. The first segment we did last week, which I encourage you to go back and check out from Tuesday, we started all the way back in the 1850s. We actually started in Rome, in Italy, but then, not Rome, but in Italy. But then we shot it to Chi-Town from like the 1850s, and it brings us up to the 1950s where we are now. So we're going to start from the 1950s, and we're going to get you up through the 70s. There's no way possible we can do all of this in one show, even from the 50s to the 70s, but so you're going to get a good overview. We encourage everybody to do, their own research. If there's any inaccuracies, by all means, utilize the comments. The phone lines will be open as well. Call in. We can drop a link
if anybody's got something to say, we encourage you to say it, because silence is in fact violence. We're going to break down sax. Some of you cats my age and younger probably never heard that term, but I guarantee you, if you reach back and you ask your elders what SACs were, and we're going to explain that. We're going to look at the Stones, the Latin Kings, the Black Disciples, the Black Gangster Disciple Nation, or GDs. We're just going to touch on that, where they were in the foundation, and we're going to stop all the way up through the 70s, because it's a never-ending story that we pray ends, we meditate that it ends, we vibrate love. We can't talk about gangs without talking about 12. We can't talk about quote unquote gangs without talking about integration, white flight, race tensions, fights, and riots. I mean, this is now part of our culture. It's been going on for generations. So gang activity is part of Black culture, like it or not. And then, of course, we're going to wrap it up with my favorite part is Wordsmith's final words. Self-love. I got a riddle for you. And if you know it and you already heard it, either way, don't answer it. We'll give it to you. We'll let you answer it at the end of the show. And this is for anybody in the comments. Go ahead. If you don't know it and you're just guessing, type it into the chat. We'll see how brilliant you are. See if you're smelling your own farts. I suggest you open the window. All right, here we go. The riddle du jour. This is a new segment for all our Self Luv Nation. Here we go. So, what can you hold in your left hand, but never hold in your right hand? What can you hold in your left hand, but never hold in your right hand? Let that simmer. If anybody thinks they want to take a stab at that without using Google or any other sources, we're asking you to use your brain, your ancestors. We're asking you to exercise your what self?
Your mind.
That's right. Your mind. Self, I got some announcements. You got any announcements before we go with the announcements?
No, I don't have no announcements besides like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. That's all.
All right, well, stay up while we do the announcements. Nope, we got the teas ordered today, as you know. And so, yeah, payment was executed. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
First round of the teas. This is a marketing sham, people. Those who were promised teas shall get teas. You may or may not be billed the shipping. We're going to be classy in that. We're not going to charge you for the shipping. However, just know, I thought about billing you for the shipping. I mean, shit. But it's a big marketing sham, so why should you pay for anything? And then, there's going to be a second round, okay, of teas coming. We'll have a way where anyone, who's been asking Self Luv and I, how can they support? Well, first thing you can do is buy yourself a walking billboard, pay for it, be a part of the marketing sham. Self Luv and I profit. The Black company that we use are going to profit. And then you're going to profit by having a nice quality what?
Shirt.
That's right. And you're going to be a walking billboard for something that's vibrating love and that we're looking to spread across the what?
Universe.
Yeah, that's right. Across the entire universe. That's right. So the second round, we'll let you know when we got that up, but we want to first have the product on. Self Luv and I will be wearing it, and then you can see what you're ordering. Secondly, this regularly scheduled Tuesday show, Self Luv and I have gone through this. The Self Luv Show is always intended to be a once a week show. That's we use the 2 weeks to get our game up, and also to get the algorithm going. Right now, what we're doing is effective immediately. The Tuesday show has been moved to Wednesdays, and the Wednesday show has been canceled. Following me? So what that means is that there's only going to be a Wednesday show on a weekly basis. The Tuesday show is a flex show. All right, it's a flex day. Maybe we have a guest who can't show up on a Wednesday. Maybe maybe we're finishing up the gang series. Maybe something postponed or something like that. Maybe it's a big fancy day. Maybe it's Self Love's birthday. You know what I mean? Who knows? But it's going to be a flex day. All right. But the regularly scheduled Self Love show, Self Love and I, we've discussed it, and you know what? It's better to leave you wanting more than needing less. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. But don't let that discourage you, because TAT in history. Oh, I see history around the corner. Self Love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's not going to be a live feed. But we will air it, and the individual that does the lecture will be available in the chat as the initial launch goes up. For any questions, comments, trolling, and Self Love and I will be in the chat too. And I wish a troll would, but I'm out here doing nothing. I wish a MFing troll would when I'm out there doing nothing. Yeah, I'll get myself banned off my own network. Yeah. Small ups to the trolls. So that's coming soon. That's coming soon. Also, Self Love, the Ed Show. Huh? B Funk.
Oh man, that's gonna be these
Yeah.
educators, man.
Yeah.
These educators we've had, boy.
Yeah.
He's in that line.
Man.
So
Man. My brother's called Kenny. That's Kenny Parker. But so this is gonna be great. He's also coached a lot of young ones into basketball that have gone off and gotten themselves college degrees.
yes.
Right. Which should be the goal of every coach.
Every coach.
Yes, get those kids a college degree, or get them off to trade school, what have you. But yeah. Okay. Okay, let me wrap these up. Also, man, manana, manana, tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Let's
The
not,
house.
yes. I always wondered why he was walking away from me when I was dancing. So, they're not laughing at us; they're laughing at me. You know what I mean? Right? Who can walk away from that? You gotta have some stick when you don't have no rhythm. Right? And then I said, "Sticked people." I know these kids out here think I'm talking about a stick or something. We don't promote violence out here on the gang ship. All right. And then last of the announcement, Self Mouthpiece included Thursday. Yeah. Q being while black. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great topic.
Yes, it shall. Yes, it shall. We're lining up the silverbacks as we speak. We're doing the curious case of Cam Newton. Cam. Sure you saw him, huh? Self get into it or something at his camp.
Man, craziness.
Just call him Camp Newton. I like to buy a consonant. I want to buy a P.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it gets into it with some malnourished kid. But the kid came out and apologized. So big ups to the kid. I mean, he's a kid. He wanted to go viral, and that's what happened. So, but yeah, that's all I had. And then Self Love. Before you do your thing, I did want to say, if there's any gang members out there, type in the chat with block you're on with your set. You know what I mean? And then once you do that, we're going to realize you're an internet thug more than likely. I feel like, but no, but yeah, you got to be careful. And then, because we're not encouraging anybody to do that. If there's any undercover cops out there, gang unit, spooks, CIA, type with what organization you're with precinct, right? Huh?
Yeah. Do that.
But if you have any expertise in this segment, we'd love to hear from you. If you could simply, type in maybe what city you're checking in from, and if you're checking in from Chicago, how about we just say which side of town?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Man, we're growing this organically and we need you. So let's get this to like minds. I know you got from between 3 and 9, somewhere in there. You can hit them up. Share them the link. And they can check it out whenever. And you know, we got a very important video that I need you to pay close attention to. Excuse me. It's what we're building our platform off of. But before that, we have the Self Luv Show quote of the day. Vote early and vote often. That's vote early and vote often. Al Capone.
That ought to tell you Tricky Richie Daley was working. That he was.
Silverback More Growth and Development Platform. Number 1, repair our nation via reparations. We demand our silver back. Number 2, to connect our breadwinners with our activists. Number 3, show an accurate depiction of African-American Chi-Town. 4, shine a light on positive influences. 5, heal our community one person at a time. 6, provide an unfiltered platform for our influencers. 7, recycle the black dollar. 8, to provide mentors for the mentorless. 9, close the gap between us and our pink kinsmen.
Hey, and big ups to the Jackrabbits, bro. You know, Long Beach Poly, man. They won their city championship. They playing today, so forgot to mention that in the thing. Go Jackrabbits.
Yeah, big ups.
Yeah, and
you
then
said they
also
playing today too. You said they playing today.
Yeah, they're playing right now.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, and then also in production, if you can cut his camera off. Big ups to that Silverback. Dennis Stallings, NFL, came on the show. NFL. I don't know if you guys getting that, but he gifted me this here chart
Yeah.
there. Don't know exactly what those letters mean on there. I'll see if Self Love can explain it to me later. All right, you can, yeah. So I was just showing that, and then, man, but bro, Wednesday, bro, the Wednesday show,
Yes, sir.
magnanimous.
Oh my God. Just on and on and on with the.
Well, it's the meditation.
Yeah, it was.
And I have been answering the bell of the challenge. I had been having a nagging. What I later in life found out was a migraine. I just, I've been dealing with a headache since I came out of the womb. You know what I mean? At some point they just stopped. I got this big, beautiful cranium. Well, at least I thought they stopped. I don't know if I just managed the pain or if my brain just shut something. I don't know. You know what I mean? But they used to be bad as a shorty, bro. They used to take me to the doctor and I used to take aspirin. The bare aspirin would do it for it.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I've been having that nagging, just man, and it's gone. The meditations, bro. I've been doing some what is it? Qigong. Yeah, yep, and some also some breathing techniques. Man, God is great, bro.
Greatest ever. Yeah, I've been on a meditation every day. Started another program. I found 45-day program. I'm gonna put you up on it.
Yeah, facts. Facts. So if anyone didn't watch that show, we unpacked, different forms of meditation, the history of it. So definitely check that out from yesterday. Big ups to the chat. I'm the overseer, Jimi Hendrix. He said, vibrate from state to state. You know how we do in Vegas? Yes, sir. I'm be on you on Saturday, bro.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, Saturday. Me and the Wiz, we hitting the road on Saturday. So, uh, uh, yeah, I'll hit you up because you know me, I jump off early, try to get ahead of, well, not try, but get out there and get ahead of traffic stuff because, things are back open again.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah. So, man, that traffic, boy, everybody's been waiting. Trying to tell wifey,
I have to leave when it's dark outside.
yes, yes. Because these cats in Cali, man, they won't necessarily do it before 9 a.m., but once 9 a.m. hits, they're all out there in the parking lot shooting at each other. We've been having a lot of that freeway shooting again and stuff.
Yeah. What is going on with that? It's here too. They just be out there.
Yes, sir. Hey, but there was what's today? 16th. Yeah, but I don't know if you saw in the news, bro. I know you stay pretty unplugged, but it's kind of gerund or pertinent to what we're talking about. The youth development coach activist Martin Murphy, goes by Murph. I guess 12. They're calling him a VL. But if production can go ahead and run it, yeah, bro.
Good evening. We've got a lot to get to tonight, including a live update on that massive chemical fire still burning at this hour. But first, a CBS 2 exclusive about this Chicago man who spent years working with kids to stop gang violence. A man we thought was part of the solution. Turns out the feds say Martin Murph is a huge part of the problem.
The feds are part of the problem.
Political investigator Dana Kozlov.
Martin, or Marty Murph, is second from left in this 2019 photo, receiving UCAN's presidential coin. Here's his name on June 3rd, charged in this federal racketeering indictment with being the prince of the violent vice lord street gang. Prosecutors say he's been a top gang leader in Chicago and the country for years.
If they've got to kill somebody, they will. If they have to shoot them, if they have to assault them physically.
It's a life prosecutors say Murph led even before he began working for UCAN in 2016 as a youth development coach to help stop street and gang violence in and around Chicago's Lawndale neighborhood. In this article honoring Murph, he calls his work redeeming. Murph, who served prison time for murder, is quoted as saying, "I can go to bed with a smile like I think I saved a life today." But the feds charge Murph and all 40 defendants with promoting and enhancing the gang enterprise and its members, and specifically accuse Murph of trafficking heroin and fentanyl as recently as February.
It's a huge concern. It's putting the fox to guard the chicken coop.
UCAN gets tens of millions of dollars in government grants and contracts to run counseling, foster, and residential programs for at-risk children. Murph most recently worked as a supervisor in UCAN's Violence Intervention and Prevention Program. In a statement, UCAN spokesman Derek Baker tells me, "We have not seen any evidence of any unlawful activity conducted by or involving Marty." That same spokesperson says Murph has been suspended without pay from the West Side Agency. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Detroit says Murph is still in federal custody, but U.S. Marshals will move him to Michigan at a future date.
I mean, white supremacy 101.
Studio, Dana Kozlov, CBS 2
you could start that production.
Dana.
I mean, it seems like whenever, hey, listen, I'm not bumping for this guy. I don't know him from Adam.
Right. I got you.
Anyone pushing heroin and poison, small ups too. Stop that. What they're alleging, it's just, okay, so Here's what it sounds like to me. So we talk about on this show a lot about how the silverbacks are constantly being removed out of the picture, right? And the ones who are probably telling these young ones, hey, look, no, you know what I mean? The ones who are telling young ones and old ones, no, you know what I mean? The ones who are trying to, have some dignity in our community get thrown in jail. The ones who are, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
All of a sudden, you're going to say he's at the top of he's the prince. I think that's literally second or third in command. So you've been giving him money, just like with Jeff Ford. Y'all was giving him money, and then all of a sudden, what? When did you realize
he wasn't preventing the crime? And that paperwork they look like seems like they have some sort of informant. Okay, so what's that informant? What did he do? Why is he giving up somebody else?
Why should we believe any of them?
That's the whole thing.
And it's sad, America, that I feel that way. It's really sad that I feel that way, America.
Yeah, because we don't trust 12 or any of that
alphabet
people.
Yeah, whenever you have someone building a community center, giving out money, feeding the poor, doing something for young Black youth, specifically males, they end up demonized in the media and by law enforcement, right? So you remove this guy. Are you going to stop the heroin? Are you going to stop the shit from coming into this country? Let's just say if he was doing everything they're alleging, right? I mean, so if I have using an analogy, a thought experiment, if I have a rat issue in my house and I'm just going to remove the biggest rat and that's it. Yeah, we've been watching this rat's been eating cheese and yeah, we got this rat. That's it. That's it. So there's got to be a bigger rat than that. There's got to be a way the rat's getting in here. There's got to be a way the rat's getting the heroin in here and moving around and laundering the money. There's more rats.
Yeah. They said they arrested 40 people.
40 people, Self. This is what we've been talking about. They're removing the silverbacks in any structure.
Yeah.
And so what are they replacing it with? I'll tell you what, the cartel. I just read an article. They were saying that Latinos are 35% of Chicago, just past Blacks is the biggest minority. So Chicago is like 35% Latino, 32% Black, and then the rest white. So it's broken down almost like my high school was. It's interesting. But I'm saying, what are they replacing it with? So you remove all these guys, even if they are guilty of all of that, all 40 of them. So what? Everybody's going to stop doing what they're doing. They know that's not going to happen.
No, they absolutely know that that's not going to happen. I mean, more dysfunction. That's what's going to happen.
Man, Ace said, what up, Ace? He said, they are just concerned about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to say free Murph, man. That's what I'm going to say. Free Murph. I don't care about the feds coming out there and standing by having a press conference and alleging all of this, that, and the third.
And
I'm not
moving them to Michigan.
Of course.
That's the mandatory sentencing and all that.
Well, I'm starting to disagree with, the attorneys, and they say stay quiet and don't say nothing. It used to be a time like Capone used to do that. Used to be like, if I'm guilty of all this, why I ain't in jail? It used to be a time where the people spoke out. You know what I mean? Like, that guy's lying. But now everybody tells you, best thing you can do is not say anything. Just don't say anything to the media. But they're shitting all over people in the media. And it seems like their attorney, their team, their team should be out there saying things on their behalf. But we live in a world now where everybody's team's gone pussy. Seriously. You think you got a team around you and they're all pussy. It's like the way Will Dunn says Malcolm X took that bullet for nothing. I mean, No comments? I mean, how many times do you hear this? How many times do you hear this?
Yeah, I'm speechless because this stuff is dumb. It goes on and on and on, and it seems to be in a circle. And something's got to give. Something's got to give, man. They can't keep doing this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's I agree. Yeah, definitely. Something's definitely got to give. So, I don't know if you saw, bro. We let's see. Um, oh yes. 12. They did the Prego pit maneuver.
What?
The Prego pit maneuver.
What is that?
Production, if you can go ahead and run it whenever you get a chance.
We have video this morning of a terrifying scene at an attempted traffic stop in Arkansas. You can see a state trooper deliberately bumping a woman's car, causing it to hit the median and flip over. That woman was pregnant at the time. The officer said he performed the maneuver because the driver was speeding and did not pull over. The woman, who is thankfully now okay, says it wasn't safe to stop there. Jerika Duncan reports on the video that is now evidence in a lawsuit.
Yeah, because what the hell is wrong with them?
Janice Harper was on her way home from the movies last July when Arkansas State Trooper Rodney Dunn tried to pull her over for speeding. Video from Dunn's dash cam shows within seconds of turning on his overhead lights, Harper moves into the right lane, slows down and turns on her hazards while continuing to drive. About 2 minutes later, Dunn hits Harper's car.
2 minutes.
The maneuver caused the SUV to spin on the highway, hit the inside wall, and flip.
It rolled over. Give me EMS.
Dunn calls for EMS before pulling over and talking to Harper while helping her out of the car.
Are you the only one in the vehicle?
Yes. Well, why the fuck?
Well, ma'am, you've got to pull over when we stop. It doesn't matter, ma'am.
I thought it would be safer to wait until the exit.
No, ma'am, you should pull over when law enforcement stops you, okay?
But an Arkansas state driver's license guide says when being stopped by law enforcement, you should activate your turn signal or emergency flashers to indicate to the officer that you are seeking a safe place to stop. A new lawsuit from Harper claims there were no exits or a shoulder for Harper to safely exit the highway.
We call it a pit maneuver when people flee from us or don't.
I gotta get rid of him.
Court documents allege Dunn executed a negligently performed pit maneuver or pursuit intervention technique, which put her life and the life of her unborn child at risk. Harper told Little Rock station KLRT she thought she was going to lose her baby.
Give him a sandwich.
What if I had kids in the car? I mean, how he wouldn't have known.
It's candy bar.
Did that matter? What was going through his head? What made him think this was okay?
Well, thankfully, Janice Harper's baby is okay and is now 4 months old. We don't know the full extent of the injuries, but the Harper's attorney said they have heard from several other people saying similar things have happened to them. We've asked the state police for comment, but have not heard back yet.
So many
they
layers
don't comment,
of
but they can
wrong
comment
there,
on
especially
everything
if it says
else.
in the state guide.
Yeah, I mean, she did everything that was right.
Yeah.
She followed the laws. This guy, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. What if there was a 98-year-old lady in the car?
He didn't care who was in the car. He didn't know if she had anybody in the car.
Correct. He didn't know she was a pregnant woman.
Right. You gotta pull over. No. Man. 12, boy.
Yeah, that's how they start. You know, start on the disenfranchised, and then they become heroes, and everybody and all the citizenry just, it's all okay until it happens to us. That's awful policing. Within 2 minutes, he feels like he needs to do a pit maneuver.
That's crazy, man.
For someone who turned on her hazards, She wasn't driving recklessly or anything.
No, she slowed down.
Yes. Yes. But
and they don't like that. They get pissed off. Like the Marine that they was he a Marine? Was he an Army?
Yeah,
at the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in their mind, the driver's swallowing all the crack, you know what I mean? Hiding all the evidence and loading up the guns, in their mind. But yeah. Hey, but you guys, let's see. They said the Supremists have been on a mission since the orange guy lost the White House. I'm going through something similar at work. Yeah, he agitated them, but they've been on the mission since Obama. That's where their mission started. When the black guy got in the White House, that's when the mission started. That was a sign to them. When they look at the signs, they took that as personal on their watch. And a Negro seemed a little ahead of the curve, for my liking even, but I took it. You know what I mean? I thought I'd never see it in my lifetime, and then I felt ashamed, that I ever felt that way. Felt like some sort of condition. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, we went from niggas to kings, and it seems like a lot, but screw white supremacy. Take that. Yeah, but yeah, man. But yeah, at work, bro. Yeah, man. Don't let them screw you. And Omni Overseer said 12 don't know the law themselves. Correct. He didn't even know the law. He didn't even know. And then he's sitting there trying to cop speaker while she's in the car upside down. He's giving her cop splain.
That's anybody else in there with you? You gotta stop, man. You gotta stop. When the police pull you over, you gotta stop.
I think we gotta go back to them having partners, bro.
Man.
Because it'd be like me and you rolling around together, and I'd be like, let's pit maneuver. I'd be like, hey, no. You know what I mean? She could be pregnant.
Right. He reminded me of Barney Fife. He needs one bullet in his pocket, not even in the gun.
Yeah, but if you had two cops, maybe, and I've seen it, where one cop is trying to talk the other one down. It doesn't always stop it, though.
No.
It doesn't always stop. They'd be like, this is a bad idea. But usually the one has the most rank. The one doing all the fuckery has the most rank. The most experience.
Yes.
Man. But hey, man, enough of this. I guess we got to get on topic. I guess everybody's not enough appetizers, huh?
Yep. Let's feel the Self Luv Nation's thirst.
All righty. So do you know the first gang? Who would you say the first gang in the modern era is? Self Luv into the chat. There's some debate. I'll say that, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Vice Lords? I don't know. I really don't. I think.
Okay. I mean, that's all right. The Vice Lords. Let me see. Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, and then anybody in the chat, what would you guys say? Self Luv said the Lords, or not Lord. Let's see here. Okay. Well, before I unpack that, I'm reading something from it's a joint intelligence report, cartels and gangs in Chicago. And I'll just start with an executive summary because that just kind of gives you a short history. It says Chicago has a long history of organized crime and is home to numerous street gangs that use the illegal drug trade to build their criminal enterprises. Although the murder rate in Chicago has declined significantly since the 90s, recent instances of gang-related homicides have placed Chicago's crime situation in the national spotlight. Compounding Chicago's crime problem is a steady supply of drugs. Remember I said this, so the Spirit told me this, and the elders. Compounding Chicago's crime problem is a steady supply of drugs from Mexican drug cartels, most notably the Sinaloa cartel. Illicit drugs flow from Mexico to Chicago via a loosely associated network of profit-driven intermediaries, with Chicago street gangs serving as the primary distributors at the street level. The profits earned through drug trafficking increase the staying power of both street gangs and drug trafficking organizations, thereby influencing levels of violent crime in both the United States and Mexico. Of particular concern is the trafficking and distribution of heroin, which has increased significantly in recent years and caused significant harm to communities in Chicago and through the United States. This report provides background on the gang-related crime situation in Chicago and offers insight on the nexus between Mexican DTOs and Chicago street gangs. So I wanted to go through that. And again, that backs me back, Self, to, I mean, why are they starting on the ass end of the problem?
Because they're ass enders. That's what they are. They want to start there so they can just blame us for every fucking thing. Excuse my French, but it's pissing me off now.
Yeah, scapegoat. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, they can just scoop the rest of it all under the rug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me jump into it. There's some, so some would say, most I think would say that the first street gang is off Shabona Park, from Shabona Park in Chicago, Grand and Noble. They were the gay lords. Gay lords. Now, before you start laughing, and then I want to apologize to, I know some gay lords, you know, I mean, can't even say it without laughing. A lot of my best friends are gay lords, you know what I mean? It's hard to say it with respect. But I'm saying this to apologize to them, because man, yes, you know, when I was, you know, making fun, you know what I mean? You know, the guys looking at me, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know, gay lords? I mean, how can we take this seriously? You guys, your name is gay lords, and then they were pink, you know what I mean? But hey, I'm here to say, I didn't understand. I did some research, talked to some people. Hey, I apologize. How come? I apologize. Now, I'm not going to Jesse Jackson apologize and kiss no ass, but I'm man enough to say to the gay lords out there,
it was real deal, huh?
Yeah, if I knew better, I would have shut up better. Now, that being said, the gay lords, now they started around the 30s, Self, you know, around the 30s. And that was before the term gay was being used as it's used today.
No doubt. I know that. But the 30s? Wow.
Correct. So think about that. So think about, you can have a name, the Tough Lords. And then, you know, 80 years from now, tough, somebody could be using it for soft or for, you know, homosexual or for that. And then you're Tough Lords and everybody's looking at you like you're, you know. That's what happened to them. I can't script this.
What was it? What was it standing for before that, though?
You don't know what the word gay means, Mr. Wordsmith?
I mean, I'm just saying, happy.
Do you know what the
of
definition the word gay?
They were happy lords.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, they were laid back. They were, yes, having a good time, but they will fuck you up. Kind of like KS Kick It. That was their shtick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Now they were supposedly the first gang around the 30s, but GAY stands for Gay American Youth. I mean, no. Sorry about that. Great American Youth. So their
Okay.
acronym.
Okay,
Yes.
it was an acronym. Okay, now it's really making sense.
But it still meant it was a double entendre.
Yeah.
So they were originally happy, smile, laid back, and then they created that Great American Youth. Okay, they were mainly Irish, Polish. Okay, they hung out at youth centers and athletic clubs. Okay, now they said that they were officially established, chartered, maybe penitentiary. I don't know what they mean by that, but officially established in 1950. Okay, they were white pride. Now, listen to this. There's a distinction that I've never heard of. They were, and I guess it's like we can be pro-black and not be racist. So they were white pride, but not white supremacists. So they weren't down with the KKK, and they made it known that they weren't about that. It's interesting, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Do you have a problem with them having pride and being pink and white? No. We should all have some human pride. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, but you're supposed to have more pride in, yours. At least I would think. So.
Correct. Now, when I said there's some dispute around, officially established, because you have the insane popes. The insane popes. Some say they were first. Another white organization from 1950. And then there was Ambrose, established in 1953. And then you get off into, I don't want to go too far here. Yeah, but then so we're up to 1953. Hey guys, please like, share, subscribe. Let's get them in here. Share the link. Share the link. Let's get them in here.
Yes.
And if you got any commentary, type it in the chat. Any questions, concerns?
So, insane popes. I never heard of them.
All right, now, so now you had these groups all the way up to around the mid 50s. Okay, so my question for the chat and Self Love, how did integration, if in any way, how did it affect gang activity in Chicago?
Well, integration, when they lifted those codes, said it was unconstitutional, and was able to move into neighborhoods where we normally couldn't. And I'm sure some of these places where these gangs were already established, and made it necessary for us to basically create our own situation to protect ourselves.
Yeah, that's been my understanding, and my research has shown me that too. And then I think, that the vacuum or the void, that's being left as well. So, which came from, I guess you could say, call it white flight.
Yeah.
So, and so let me just go through this is an article, Channel 5 Chicago, dated May 6, 2013. Fair use. As late as 1940, all but 3 Chicago neighborhoods had white majority populations. The exceptions were Douglas, Grand Boulevard, and Washington Park, the heart of what was known as the Black Belt, the South Side ghetto to which African Americans were confined. After World War II, whites began moving to the suburbs, and the restrictive covenants that had prohibited blacks from living in most neighborhoods were struck down by the courts. By 1950, the Black Belt had expanded to Douglas, the near South Side, and Fuller Park. By 1980, it was no longer a belt. It was a crescent encompassing most of the city's west and south sides from Madison and Central to 135th and State Street. This integration was not integration, as the old saying goes. Integration is the period between the arrival of the first black and the departure of the last white. This was total ethnic succession. In one generation, a third of the city's community areas went from monolithically white to monolithically black. Today, only 21 neighborhoods have white majorities, and only 12 have white populations exceeding the national average of 63%. Now, there's 77 total neighborhoods in Chicago. That's not what's striking, though. As the nation has become more diverse, so has the city. What's most striking about Chicago's pattern of racial distribution is the almost total absence of whites in black neighborhoods. Even the city's whitest neighborhoods, Mount Greenwood and Lincoln Park, have black populations of 4.7% and 4.9% respectively. But of the 28 neighborhoods with black majorities, most have white populations under 2%. The absolute most racially polarized neighborhood in Chicago is Inglewood, which is 98.5% black and 0.6% white and 0.4% Latino. Of Inglewood's 35,186 residents, 34,658 are black, 211 are white, 141 are Latino. In the 1950s, Inglewood was mostly German, Swedish, and Irish. They've all gone, leaving only a Lutheran church. From 1960 to 1980, Inglewood's white population plummeted from 51,000 to 818. Not even ethnic cleansing in the Balkans, okay, achieved the levels of turnover that white flight in Chicago did. I'll repeat that. Not even the ethnic cleansing in the Balkans achieved the levels of turnover that white flight in Chicago did. However, there's hope in a few places. The black majority neighborhood with the highest percentage of whites is Morgan Park, which is 54.8% black and 37.2% white. The least segregated, that is, the neighborhood where the dominant ethnic group claims the smallest proportion of residents, is Rogers Park, which is 38.2% white, 26.4% black, 25.7% Latino, and 6.4% Asians. White flight has ended in Chicago. In both the 2000 and 2010 census, the non-Hispanic white population was 31%, but segregation has not ended. And that was from Channel 5 Chicago. Just giving you a little background as to the white flight, the levels of it, and the integration, how that created a void in our communities.
Facts. They changed over, and the businesses went away with the people mainly, and left voids. Yeah. We filled the gaps. We had our own businesses.
Facts. This is true.
And everything in the neighborhood. It took a while to get to that, though. You said it was a void. Those numbers are, whew.
Yeah, it's amazing how segregated, the city is. And we'll get off into some history, but they said that the Stones escorted Dr. King through Marquette Park. And it's like funny that, I mean, none of my elders told me that. I didn't hear that in school or anything, any of the history.
Yeah, I definitely
Right?
didn't hear anything
It's
about.
disingenuous because it sounds like the political structure was trying to, it sounds like our intellectuals were working or trying to work with the street level people. Sounds like there was some working together happening right around that time.
Yeah, it was because the Stones did that play with Oscar Brown Jr. They had a huge show. I didn't work that show, of course, but I worked that show like 4 or 5 times. And hold on a second.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Go ahead, bro.
Wrong pipe stuff, boy. I don't know what. Some water here. Clear that out.
Well, even with Dr. King, man, at the end of the day, yeah, we could be in church and talk Shangri-La-di-da and, call people thugs and gangsters and that. But you're going to go walk through Marquette Park. Guess who their church people and guess who their business people and guess who their sophisticated head out there on the front line throwing bricks.
Man.
They have their street element.
Yeah.
And their street element is working under directions from somewhere. I have got to believe we're the only nation of people that have severed our quote unquote street element from the body of our community.
Yeah, because for the most part, all these other communities, they convert to legit businesses, even if they still doing some stuff. You know what I mean? They get converted. Everybody act like they still cool. But you're right. There's a lot of things that we need to do better.
I mean, I believe certain things are going to exist. Even the government, that's when they were working with, I guess, Jeff. They knew some things were going on, but the crime was down. So is your goal to get the crime down? Is your goal to make sure no niggas eat? Excuse my language. What's your goal? What's your goal? Because crime is going to exist. It's going to be murder and crime. But if you got people who are stopping the rapes, if you got people on the street who are stopping the robberies and the breaking in and taking kids and putting them through programs, what's the problem with that?
I don't see one. And all I see is they don't want it to stop. That's all.
Yeah, facts. You're right. They need the poverty to fuel America. There's something I'm missing about capitalism where they need abject poverty. Is it some fear? Is it fear in there to create the slaves?
Well,
that could be you.
They from what I understand, it needs an employable force. So if it needs an employable force, there has to be a group of unemployed people.
Or underemployed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
So they don't care. So
yeah. Michael Jackson said it. They don't really care about us.
Facts.
Well, now we're going to get into who was the first. Now we're going into the black gangs because I just wanted to point out first gangs, but they consider them kind of social athletic clubs. See, they always call white people something different.
Right.
It's a club. Ours is a trap house. You know what I mean? And we do it to ourselves, though. We let them start calling us. We let them come on TV with suits and labeling us. And then we go around and we do it to ourselves.
Thanks, man.
You know, it's bad, man. We're not parenting our kids. And then so now they can go on the street and become gang members and get taken advantage of by people who don't even look like us, sound like us, who don't even love us. So now you have a structure guiding us. If it's not going to be us, we're talking about the ones who don't have the parents who come, it's just bad. It's bad. Then if we end up dead, our kids end up getting murdered just trying to go to the movie theater or something.
Yeah. Something's going to change at 999. 9,999. Yeah. 9,999. Change gonna come. Change gonna come. Come on, y'all. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bells. Share far and wide. Share right now. Everybody share to 3 people, 4 people. Do something for us out there.
Facts. Because we're going to keep bringing the content. We're going to keep bringing the content as we do. So, but yeah, so who were the first, the black gang, Self? Now we're moving into that. I think you said VL, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody in the chat? Well, Ace said 12 was the first gang. True.
Yeah.
And they were what, Irish?
Yep.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I think, that again, 12 is the gang of society. It's society's gang. Right?
They pay them and got them out there
doing their dirty work.
Yeah.
Looking the other way. And yeah. You can call a gang to show up. You see somebody that society doesn't fit in society's picture. A homeless guy in the alley making noise. You call this gang to show up and beat the shit out of them. Hopefully. That's what people are hoping nowadays when they call it 12.
That's almost what you got to expect. So that's why a lot of people don't call them.
Yeah, but I mean, you could just set up somebody you don't like.
That's
Go on over, let's make peace. And then they're coming over and you call 12, this guy's got a gun, he just threatened me, said he's coming his way to kill me. That's all 12 needs, to come over and come through hot. Well, we got a call, and the guy said he had a gun, he was coming to kill him. We told the guy to stop, and 2 seconds later we killed him.
Crazy.
Man. So, yeah, so now the MCs, according to this research, Mickey Cobras, 1954. That's when they came on the scene, the MCs. That floored me. Now, again,
I did not know that.
Yeah, that floored me. But again, this is, fluid. So, the Latin Kings, some say what's that, bro?
I see, yep.
Yeah. The Latin Kings, some say mid-60s. Came around, but we got this in 1954. I'm going with 1954. Satan Disciples, they were Czechoslovakians and Polish. This is back to 54. Latin Counts, these are the gangs of color, 1955. So, and then it's going to bring us to the Stones. Let's see. Yeah. Took a picture. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, and then and I'll be right back.
The show, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, share far and wide. And we need you to help us grow organically. We're not doing any fake views, any fake bots, or anything of that ilk. We're building this with real people. And thank you for being here. And we need to get more people in here. We've got great information, content. Today, the Self Luv Show, Chicago Gang History Part 2, 1950 to 1970. Social athletic clubs to community safety. And we're breaking it down. All right. I didn't know a lot of this information. Looking for get some more. It's been a long time coming. We need to recount this, hold it down for our history's sake. Okay. Well, thank you all for being patient and checking out the show. We're growing. We should go. I lived in this neighborhood all of my life. There's been a lot of gang activity here, though, over the years. But not early on, but a lot just the same. Especially when we got back here, because Nine moved with me when I moved home, and we moved right back in the neighborhood, and man, it was cracking. It was cracking.
Yes, sir. Tech Nine like a credit card. Don't leave home without it. Yeah, those are some times, boy. That's what like that last article. You know, people don't understand when they say the crime is way down from the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody keep bloviating. You can bloviate your ass off. You know, we even got people from the 90s bloviating. That tells you the power of media, man, and what people can tell you. It's just that the media didn't talk about it like that in the 90s, bro. Because it was all over the place. It wasn't just shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They always had, it was a certain thing they had about the shadow. They would point out that the public school children, how many public school children died or whatever. And, you know, and most of the whole thing is most of the places, it was the public school people that was getting killed. You know what I mean? And they was making it a big deal here in the national news. All of that crappulous. We got the most killings and all this and the Chirac mess.
So yeah. So now this is pushing out. Well, you know what? I won't start there. We're going to talk about the Stones. According to my research, Stones came on the scene around 1955 in the Woodlawn neighborhood. Eugene, Bull, Hairston, Jeff Fort, some say Eugene Bull started the gang, and then Jeff. But Jeff lived on Blackstone. I guess Eugene did too. 63rd and Blackstone. But I've had one source say that Jeff was a junior high school dropout. And then I looked at another source as a black teacher saying that he taught Jeff in high school. So if someone can clear that up. But I'll give you an anecdote. Let's get the history first. So the Black P-Stone Nation, BPSN, is a street gang that originated on the South Side in the late 1950s. The gang, originally known as the Blackstone Rangers, grew rapidly in numbers and influence. Following a disagreement between the gang's leaders, the majority of the gang rebranded as the Black P-Stone Nation in 1968, drawing on the influence of the Black Power movement. Following the gang leader's release from prison in 75, now they're referring to Jeff Ford, he attempted to instill principles of Islam into the gang's culture and renamed the gang El Rukns. They say Arabic for stones, cornerstones, black stones. Several Black P-Stone members disagreed with the gang leader's style and separated themselves from the gang by forming new gangs or factions, such as the Mickey Cobras. And they don't know their history, I don't think, because I think the Mickey Cobras existed and then they joined the Black Stones and then split off from them. But eventually El Rukns split back off of them. But eventually the El Rukns changed their name and unified with numerous other factions under the name of the Black P-Stones. Although the gang has experienced significant infighting over the years, the BPSN remains strong with members in Chicago and elsewhere. Now, just some anecdotes. There was an article. Jeff Ford's mom, said that when he was a kid, he was a young boy. He would sneak food out. She'd make dinner and she's wondering where all the food was going, and she found out he was sneaking it out to some local vagrants or some winos who, were hungry. So I guess he had that mindset of, feeding the poor. Now, according to the Stones, their group was formed for protection, as Self Luv mentioned earlier. There was violence in the community. The white folks weren't happy about us being there. Their property values were going down. Some of them were racist, many of them. The kids were racist. So the Stones, they got together and formed a clique. They pimped the pimps, according to the Stones. They pimped the pimps. They did extortion, racketeering. Some call it extortion, but I guess when you have a security license and you're an off-duty policeman, they'll call that security. But also they ran the rackets, allegedly, racketeering. Original Black Mafia type of organization, as you know it. They were the first Black Mafia type of organization where it was run like a corporation. So that distinction definitely goes to the Black Stones. I don't think that could be disputed. So in other words, you had other gangs and took the same type of structure into how they ran their organization. But supposedly Jeff was the first one to start doing that. They used to meet at First Presbyterian Church. They met at First Presbyterian Church. I don't want to get into, the fort, because that's past the time frame of what we're talking about. But as I said earlier, Self Luv, they escorted Dr. King through Marquette Park, and their colors was red beret. So those were short history on the Stones. And again, remember, this is 1950 through 1970.
Right. Facts. I didn't know a lot of that information. So, like I was saying earlier, I'm like looking forward to find out what else I don't know.
Yeah, man. So next, we're gonna run into
like, share, subscribe, hit the bell.
Yeah, and just so y'all know, they said that the whites, before they fled, they used every legal and every means for just fleeing.
Yeah.
So the history is written up like, oh, and it was white flight. Oh no, it was white fight and flight.
Yeah.
And what they were doing was, in my estimation, biding as much time as possible, you know, so they could set up those communities in the suburbs, start building all of that where they were moving to. So they were fighting things and putting injunctions in court, doing this and that. And I guess they knew they were going to lose. And then whenever they lost, they just piled up and just left and built their own thing. One thing I'll say about the white people, whether they're racist or whatever you want to call them, they know how to move. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I agree.
You're not brain wrestling with them, what they have to do.
They pretty much are on code.
They are on code. And whether they're Democrats or Republicans, you have white flight from all over, from both sides of the aisle. So now, next, we have, it was after the Stones. That's 58. Well, I'm going to say the Vice Lords next. We got it around 58. Some say it started at St. Charles, the juvie home, St. Charles, for the same reason, protection. And then the guys who, you know, came together in St. Charles kept it together when they got back on the bricks. It was about community improvement. Let's see. Yeah, so the Vice Lord Nation was founded in 1958. Currently, allegedly has thousands of members dispersed throughout the country, with the greatest presence in Chicago and the Great Lakes region. Within Chicago, the Vice Lords are most active on the west side of the city. In the mid 1960s, the leaders of the gang labeled themselves the conservative Vice Lords and became more involved in community development to generate a more positive image. This positive image eventually eroded as gang-related crime increased. Today's Vice Lord Nation consists of several factions within the conservative Vice Lords and traveling Vice Lords, or TVL, being the largest of the factions. The Vice Lords are allied with the elements of the People Nation, such as the Black P-Stones and Latin Kings, and his main rivals are the Gangster Disciples and other gangs in the Folk Nation. So, yeah, I think Willie Lloyd and the guys were in juvie. And again, as we said on the first show, oftentimes these organizations are started to generate a sense of protection.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be an initial bully organization, like 12, right?
Yeah.
That organization is going to be owned by the government, you know, like owned by corporations. You know, they were bullying the unions, and then the unions had to form. They were bullying the employees, and the unions formed, and those became gangs. And where they, you know, so that's what happens. Violence begets violence.
Facts. Okay. Who's next out there?
After we had so that was okay. So now after the Vice Lords, we move along to the Black Disciples, the BDs. The Black Disciples were initially formed, they say in the late 60s, but I ain't buying this, and operated jointly with the Gangster Disciples under the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. See, what they're doing is mixing some history. And operated jointly with the Gangster Disciples under the Black Gangster Disciple Nation until the two groups split in 1972. So, following the split, the Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples engaged in a violent dispute to control of street territory that continues on to this day. I had some more on that with the Gangster Disciples and the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. So, this text. So, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.
Hit the bell. Hit the bell.
Yeah. So yeah. But so it's my research, my understanding. The BDs were first, and that would have been David Barksdale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, and it was before 1960 though. I got to go through some other texts. I had some information I was doing research on.
Right. Let's see.
Tell you what, if when we got guests, I can't get you not to say nothing. Then when I need you to talk, you ain't got nothing to say. It was crazy. Must be the conversation, huh?
Yeah. I'm not very fluent and know this information. Not myself either.
Yeah.
That's probably more than anything else. Yeah, I haven't never heard that. Well, yeah, I have. When I did that, it did say that they were first at that film I watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did say that they were first, and then they got together. But it was, yeah, it wasn't no 68. It wasn't nothing like that. They talking about some 68.
Yeah, that don't make sense, man. That don't make sense at all. But it did seem like even with the GDs, so you have, you had the Crips, and it was community, whatever that stood for, responsiveness, something in progress or something. So you had them doing, you know, they were, I guess, up to shenanigans, what have you, but they were securing the neighborhood and doing their thing. And then all of a sudden you get the Bloods, and that formed in jail, and it was formed as defense, allegedly from the Crips, you know. And then so you had these conservative movements that were pro-black, Vice Lord, Blackstone, and then all of a sudden you got this other entity.
Right.
Right?
Just naturally opposition.
Yeah. Yes. Against the guys.
Yeah,
right? So the guys are coming through, whatever the guys are doing. Hey man, we're in the community. We're in the community. You either going to school or you getting in and you fit in. No, you ain't taking mine. We're gonna start something else.
Right. And not and organically. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
How is it? That's crazy.
Yes. Yes. But I guess the same thing happened in the white community, and the way they sell it. You had the socialites and the greasers. It's like this bind. What is it? This duality.
Yeah, this duality. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Duality. That
like,
is it. And wow, just naturally.
I don't know where, no. That's what it seems like. And then the history be a little more sketchy on the other group. Oh, it just kind of came together. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because they was fucking with us. Uh-huh. And then it becomes bigger, right? In all cases, a bigger behemoth.
Yeah.
Than the original that was about progress and building the community.
Facts. It's
sounds spooky.
It is. It sounds very, very spooky. It's like, what? How this just naturally occur?
Man, you know, jealousy. I guess jealousy could be a factor.
Could be.
You know,
I could see that.
I mean, but to form a gang because you don't want to join a gang, that seems weird, right? I don't want to join a gang, but we're going to be a gang.
That is.
Doesn't it seem weird?
Yeah, they didn't like him or something. I don't know. That's.
But they say the first group is always for this community, and the second group is always defending themselves from that damn gang that was for the community. What type of fuckery could you have been doing that made them want to put a stop? Right? I don't know. I wasn't there, you know, but it's a thought experiment. It's just me talking.
Yeah, because I have no idea what they were doing. But they was doing something, though. It made them form. They were trying to control it. Not trying. They were controlling the rackets and, you know, couldn't get no money. And I don't know. Just.
I mean, it definitely leaves you pause for a cause. That's, you know, pause for thought. That's basically what I could say there. I mean,
yeah.
Right?
It don't seem like organic.
It don't even seem possible that one group and then the group could become such a behemoth like that, right?
Yeah.
But now when I got into the structure of, so we can go there and make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself, because I did want to get into some things I did not know as well. Let's see. Yeah, and that just go to show you though, bro. Like they arrested Murph. Bro, it's a grown man. You arrested him. You like, where are the people supplying the shit? You arrested 40, you Murph and 40 people under him. Where are the people, where do you ever arrest the people above Murph? Where's that on the news? Where's the big, and we followed Murph and we found out that he was getting it from here. Where's that? Where's that? Where's that FBI? Huh?
CIA, you know what I'm saying? They bringing it from the cartels are bringing it.
Well, since you know everything that Murph is doing, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Where is he getting the shit? He won't tell you? Mm-hmm. Right. I just tell everybody to watch Nino Brown. He broke it all down at the end of the movie. He took a bullet, though. He definitely took a bullet. So, hey, but yeah, so, and then so we did Vice Lord, and then we did BD, and then, yeah, so the Latin King, I think we kind of know where LK is. I'll just take a quick minute to do that. Latin King, Blackstone, J. Lords.
When did they come into? Let me see.
Yeah, they came into picture, bro. I want to say, man, around the same time the Stones did, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, and their founder was from, they were 54, mid-50s, some say 60s. But their founder was ex-Vietnam. I think, see, a lot of these guys was coming back from Vietnam, man. They might have had PTSD. So their guys who started them was older. You notice the ones who started our gangs are typically like super young, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And grown men had started the Latin Kings. That's why you have Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. That's why it's literally called Latin King. And they got the same laws and structure that they follow.
Okay.
Because they realized they had to get on code when they got here and work together, you know, as opposed to, you know, working apart.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so I know I had some more on them, but we'll dig that up during the short halftime here. Yeah, bro, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting to halftime, bro.
Yep. So y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Y'all know what the drill. Yes, sir. It's halftime. It's halftime. Woo! Thank y'all. Thank you. As you know, it's the Self Luv Show, Chicago Gang History Part 2, 1950 to 1970, social athletic club to community safety. Gonna be back shortly. Got a couple nice videos. Check them out.
love. And I do want to tell y'all, I did get a chance to meet Ron Hardy once. His nephew. I went to Mother Macaulay. His nephew went to Brother Rice. So
they was stuck up on the call.
One day at the Powerhouse, I was able to like go into the DJ booth and like meet him, but it was super quick. I didn't even remember me if he saw me again. But super excited.
Fun. But we just got to get this in a little bit because this guy was something that, says Ron Hardy's the Godfather and Ace is everybody out there yapping. Ron Hardy. Nobody saying Frankie Huckle. I had one guy say Frankie Knuckles. DJ Prado. He said Frankie Knuckles. Yeah, nobody want to say Frankie. I remember my big brother talking a lot about Frankie, and then all of a sudden it became Ron Hardy. You know what I mean? Frankie, and then it was Ronnie. I'm like, wait a minute. When did Frankie become Ronnie?
Like I said, I look at this shit like a PlayStation. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do a 3/4 beat right here. I can drop this to a half beat, and I start doing different shit, and people start catching on. Dropping the bass, doing this, doing that. But being a DJ, anybody can go up there and play records. I feel like you got to entertain.
Right.
So you got to entertain if you're a DJ. Go up there, I move a record around, I bring it in the middle break, and bring it back around to the motherfucking beginning. I feel like, goddamn. But that's what stuff Barney and all them used to do. That's what Ron used to do, be creative.
Fun. It definitely takes a nation. And this was going to be for everybody, but you cats covered it. I appreciate it. I was going to say, how does the ball compare like to the warehouse or to the box or whatever? If anybody wants to add to it, but I know you cats were literally saying that it kind of puts you in the mind of the box.
Yeah, but we pushing it further, like progress is supposed to be. Progress is supposed to do. The box was the box, and it was fantastic. And it gave we wouldn't.
And then on June 16th, that following Wednesday, we're continuing on. This music series, really excited about our panel we have set up for that.
Man, thank you guys for inviting me on. Thank you. Great format, very solid. It don't have that low budget movie feel. You know what I'm saying? And we get that a lot in the Black community, for real. Like people look at us to be fuck ups. They look at us to be low budget. They look at us to be ignorant, stuttering, and use a whole bunch of and all of that. But no, they got the real deal on here. That everybody know who Torian Mills is, baby. They know.
Hey, well, bro.
They're so ignorant.
Ignorant. Hey, but this platform's your platform. This platform's my platform. From Inglewood, California to
the
Chicago,
South Shore.
Crazy thing about it.
This platform is made
for you and me.
It's made for you.
The crazy
ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I was trying to get out the end of the preamble, but go ahead, bro.
I won't slow.
Yes,
I'ma show the
sir.
world what they don't know. I'ma be the one. I'ma be the one when I'm done. If I made it this far, if I made it this far, I can make it anywhere. If I made it this far, if I made it this far, I'll go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Self Love Show. Today we're breaking down Chicago Gang History Part 2 from 1950 to 1970. Social athletic clubs to community safety. It's a blessing to be here. I'm learning a lot, as always. And man, make sure y'all check in tomorrow. That promo, man, it's going down. It's going to be a beautiful conversation. Big ups to Trife Mac.
I'ma be the one. Free the guys. Free all the guys. Big up, track, folks. Yeah, man. I'm gonna double back a little bit. We got the Capone Lords. I just want to give you some social athletic club, some of these people's names.
Yeah.
Yeah, these were stone greasers, they call them. So you're going to notice some of their names are going to sound like ours. So if you see, we learned it from them. You had the Capone Lords, Maniac Drifters, the Basement Boys, the Thorndale Jagoffs. Okay, they were probably rolling with the
Gaylords.
He said it, I did. And then we got, I mean, come on, you can't. I mean, come on. Oh, man, I bet you a lot of people took bad ones off that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their colors were pink too, so I don't know if I told you that. I'm not making this up. All right. Okay. And then there's the Little Gentlemen, Social Athletic Club from the 50s. Let's see here. Coal Yard. They got two rifles going up in the shape of a pyramid for their sign, and it says Almighty. They were on the north side. You had the White Knights, the Young Destroyers, the Furies. I mean, they had gangs all over the city, man. We talking the Royal Capris, Hell's Devils, Logan Squareheads. And there was a lot of poverty. And it wasn't just in the black belt.
Right.
There was a lot of poverty. And so the people were impoverished and starting gangs, clubs and stuff, fighting back against society.
That makes sense, working together. You know, then when it gets in nefarious type, stuff, I'm not, calling for that, but protecting your own, take care of home. Don't see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, got the Aristocrats in the 60s, Archer Park, the Uptown Rebels, 69 Loafers. They probably wore penny loafers or something. Yeah. You got the Stooge Brothers. I mean, come on. Wise guy, huh? I'm sure that's where they got their name. I mean, what else could it be? Or maybe they work for the Stooge factory. You never know until you check the history.
Facts.
All right, and then you got, it says, oh, and they used to have these little business cards. I heard about these. And yeah, so they used to walk around with little business cards repping their block and they set. So it was sophisticated.
Who was that?
All the gangs.
Oh, all of them. Okay.
Coke 45s. You had the Demons. So these are the white ones. Irving Park Heads. You had the Lady Gents. These are all like 60s, 50s. House of Lords. Yeah.
It's a whole lot of them, man.
Oh, I'm not even reading I'm not even reading 10% of them.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. House of Lords from Brighton Park. Pastor Boys. Spanish Chancellors. Laughlin Lords. Now you're on the south side. The Bishop Boys. Yeah, it was a bunch of them. Racine Boys. The Little Syndicate. Back of the Yards. Greasers.
Back of the Yard Greasers.
Man. Cornell Dukes. I mean, you had them in Cicero. I mean, go on and on, but
yeah, because they were getting it in.
Correct. I didn't. Did you get any of this in your history class in grade school in the city of Chicago?
Oh man, please. No.
Yeah.
Barely got Capone.
Right. Barely got Capone, and he was sort of,
completely irrelevant. He was just real talk.
Yeah. So, the Chicago's first gangs developed along ethnic lines out of the volunteer fire departments during the antebellum period. Isn't that something, bro? With names like Fire Kings. This makes you wonder about the Chicago Fire.
Yeah, there were stories that the
fire department started.
They be having wars, like whoever get there first, put the fire out or whatever.
Get paid.
And, they the one to get paid.
Right. So they fight on their way there.
Yeah. Craziness.
So with the names like Fire Kings, these outfits of young, often single working class men competed against one another in departmental reviews, brawled in the street, and conducted social events. Running with the machine was celebrated in the dime novels of the day as part of the culture of many bravado. When the professionalization of firefighting departments forced volunteer companies to disband, the locus of gang life shifted into saloons, where political fixers harnessed the energies of these men. By the 1880s, a thriving gang scene developed in Bridgeport and the back of the yards on the south side. South side, man. Yeah. We're talking 1880s, man, Yeah. Several large Irish gangs, such as the Dookies. These are the ones you were trying to think of on the first show. You said you couldn't think of. So they had the Dookies and the Shielders. They exerted a powerful influence on the street life around the stockyards, raiding peddlers, robbing men leaving work, fighting among themselves, and terrorizing the German, Jewish, and Polish immigrants who settled there from 1870s to the 1890s. These gangs fought constantly among themselves, but they united as Mickeys to battle gangs to the east. During this period, gangs became entrenched in the patronage networks of ward machines. In Irish communities, the sponsorship of gangs by politicians and businessmen transformed them into athletic clubs. I can't make this stuff up. Like the Hamburg Club, the Reagan's Colts, the Old Rose Athletic Club, based in saloons and clubhouses, and often claiming a membership of over 100 men, ranging from their late teens to early 30s. These clubs ensured the elections of their patrons by stuffing ballot boxes and intimidating voters. By the early 20th century, Polish and Italian gangs were the most numerous in Chicago. Polish gangs in the Poje colony on the northwest side battled rival Polish groups across the river in the Bucktown area and southward, where a different Polish gang occupied every block of Milwaukee Avenue down to the industrial area. So they used to divide the Polish like they do us. These gangs also engaged in territorial skirmishes with Italian gangs of the Little Sicily neighborhood in their south, usually identifying themselves by streets that served as hangouts. Several of these Italian gangs reportedly had connections with, quote, Black Hand, end quote, syndicates. The involvement of raging cults in the race riot of 1919 established a pattern of white ethnic gang behavior that would affect the course of race relations in Chicago through the 50s. Organized by Democratic, once again, organized by Democratic Alderman Frank Reagan of Canaryville, this gang attacked African Americans residing in the nearby Black Belt neighborhood after African American votes had helped lift Republican Big Bill Thompson to victory. Yeah, I was trying to think of Bill Thompson. I was talking about Capone. Yes.
Yeah.
But this is a different Thompson. Yes. Big Bill Thompson to victory in the municipal election. Taking names like the Shielders and the Boundary Gang, white gangs patrolled the color line through the 1930s. These activities intensified with the accelerated migration of Black Southerners during World War II, prompting the Mayor's Commission on Human Relations. Oh, it's a Commission on Human Relations. You know, that's satanic. Whenever they get these commissions, you guys, it's all bullshit. The Mayor's Commission on Human Relations in 1946 to establish a juvenile bureau to investigate the role of youth groups in anti-Black violence. Partly as a defense against racial violence, which by the 1950s reached Chicago's Latino communities, African American, Puerto Rican, and Mexican gangs proliferated in the late 1950s. By the mid-1960s, several gang niches had developed throughout the city. Black gangs, like the Black Stone Rangers and Vice Lords, pervaded the South and West Side respectively. Puerto Rican gangs, such as the Latin Kings, dominated the Humboldt Park area on the north side. And Mexican gangs, like the Latin Counts, filled the Pilsen area around 18th Street. Gang violence occurred both within and across racial and ethnic lines throughout this period, with recruitment drives accounting for many homicides. The public image of gangs improved in the late 1960s when some of the more powerful Black and Puerto Rican gangs joined forces with political groups, we're talking about that, and community development organizations. In the Black communities of Woodlawn and North Lawndale, the Blackstone Ranger Nation and the conservative Vice Lords procured government and private grants, that's the precursor to going to jail, procured government and private grants to conduct job training and community improvement programs. The use of descriptors like nation and, quote, conservative represents the influence of the Black Power movement on these gangs. Despite significant accomplishments, these projects were discontinued amidst charges of fraud brought to national attention by Senator John McClellan's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. While gang leaders and community activists countered with allegations of harassment by the Gang Intelligence Unit of the Chicago Police Department and pointed to a reduction in gang fighting during the tenure of the program, such claims lost credibility in the early 70s when many gangs became involved in drug trafficking and violent recruitment efforts. African American gang, that's when they had put the heads in jail. We'll get there. African American gangs have been sporadically involved in ward level politics since this time. But the political thrust of the late 1960s seems distant in the context of the gang violence. Interesting. So, you know, I used to hear my elders talk a lot about the wards and how it was all connected.
Yeah.
Talking about the men. Yeah. You know, and remember, this is what we're talking about. It was an order. There was an order to it. Everybody knew everybody. And if you chose that lane, you was in that lane. But there was an order to that.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
You could be, you know, you could be Tory Wordsmith, the gangster. And, you know, and I could be 9 Mills, the college, you know, kid.
And we know the lane, though. We know how to move.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. You knew I wasn't your op.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you weren't out there just thinking you were going to gangster everybody because you couldn't move. You couldn't just do that.
No.
Because everybody was connected in some kind of way.
Yeah, and it was order.
I
mean, if you did do that, then there was repercussions for that.
Man, so if I was reading where they used to go see the aldermen and the stuff that the Silverbacks are talking about, you know, and that's that. When that happens, as a black man, we're labeled a threat to society, bro. Which it's either penis envy, okay, or it's going to be fear of a black planet, you know, or a combination of all of this. Or it's going to be the driving factor of capitalism that you got to have somebody to keep your knee on their neck.
All of the above. It's all facts. They are striking back, doing, you know, madness.
Man.
At all times.
And you guys can find what I'm reading on encyclopedia.chicagohistory.org. I'll get you the title shortly. Although existing gangs have become entrenched as membership has extended across generations, the geography of Chicago gangs was changing by the end of the 20th century. Asian youth gangs, I don't remember any of those, many of whose members arrived in the United States in the 70s and 80s. Oh, they would probably have been on Cermak, Chinatown somewhere. Yeah. United States in the 70s and 80s have joined the spectrum of street gangs in Chicago. Gangs also have moved into surrounding suburbs and even extended their reach across the Midwest. In the 90s, Chicago gang members traveled as far afield as North Dakota in order to sell drugs, often in partnership with their Chicago rivals. At the same time, Chicago gangs began to move into cyberspace by developing their own websites, some of which included secret chat rooms. Chicago gangs have also broadened their appeal by crossing gender lines. Here's how they're, I told you the next step. They're going after our women. It's already started. The Chicago Crime Commission estimated that females accounted for as many as 20,000 of the 100,000 gang members in the city. That was at the turn of the century. So in the past, girls and young women often occupied or appeared to occupy somewhat of a subservient roles within the gangs. Yeah, a study conducted in the late 90s revealed, however, that increasing numbers of females were becoming full-fledged gang members and increasingly participating in gang-related violence. Yeah, so that was like, that used to be in the law. Like, you didn't even talk to females about shit.
Yeah. Fact. It's crazy.
Yeah. Man, so the name of the article is it's entitled Gangs. It's on Encyclopedia Chicago. I don't know if you had something to add to that.
It's a lot of violence by women these days. They are quite violent. I don't know what's really going on. I know these gender roles are switching and they're very aggressive. And I don't know about the gang stuff and all of that, but I'm just saying overall, I see it, you know what I mean? And a widespread vision of it.
Mm-hmm. Facts. Let's see here. Jimi Hendrix says more growth and development. Facts. More growth and development. Facts. We need more growth and development. That is facts. Well, when you own the banks, you can move whenever you want to. That's facts, Ace. That is facts. When you own the banks and money printing machine, and you own the narrative, and you control. Yes, you can say this neighborhood's going down. The property values here are shit. You can just come out one day and say that, can't yourself? And every news starts repeating it for the next 6 months. And oh yeah, they can do it with anything, and the stock and DNA the stock in DNA music is going to skyrocket. I mean, oh, this guy, and he's
Through the roof.
Yeah,
Through the roof.
Ding, ding, invest, buy, invest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can definitely do a whole lot of the world like that, bro. There's so many people that just, huh? What did he say? Oh, okay. I got it.
It's a herd mentality. So a lot of cats are very uncomfortable when they're outside the herd.
Yeah. I can't be in that position, but I understand that.
Yeah, I'm comfortable within the herd and outside the herd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want to go over a quick article, and then we're pretty much, can wrap it up. And you guys, the phone lines are open, and then, we'll just have open discussion or what have you. But this is on, it's from ChicagoMag.com. The article is entitled "The Making of Jeff Fort." The Making of Jeff Fort. The most feared man in Chicago was once a shining figure of hope, but the road to jail is paved with good intentions. This article is from 1988. Bear that in mind. November 1, 1988. I like going back in history and reading articles that don't suffer from as much recentism. A dignified black woman in a dark dress walked slowly into the crowded funeral home, her pace slowing as she turned towards the room where her 39-year-old son lay in an open casket. As she caught sight of the body, she drew a quick breath and fainted. 3 more times on that muggy June afternoon, she would collapse in cries of anguish and grief, screaming, "My Benny's gone. He's gone away." Man, so if they said the Stones showed up at one funeral and at the burial, bro, the stuff that they kind of say, "Oh, look at these kids dead. There's no control." Allegedly, these be police talking in these articles,
Yeah.
But they said Stones show up at funerals and the burial.
Yeah.
The burial, no. Take the body out of the casket in front of everybody and shoot it up.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy, bro.
If that happened, that's one hell of a message. I see a story about the guys, though, man.
That's whew. Yeah, every time I hear that, it's like this the first time I hear that, because it's like that's so outrageous. I can't even
fathom that as a human.
Yeah.
Imagine being a kid, 8, 9 years old, you're at that funeral and you got to witness that. How that the trauma.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I guess I'm thinking on the one hand, well, isn't he already dead? As long as that shoot me.
Man.
That's a hell of a message. But I digress. Okay, after 3 decades of bloody street gang wars, Annie Bacon is no stranger to violence. Remember, this is from 88, November. Her 7 sons and 3 daughters were in the thick of those wars, but though hundreds lost their lives, they'd always been spared. Now, however, after a personal argument that ended with the flash of a knife, her 3rd eldest son, Benny Fort, yes, Fort, lay dead. Well-wishers filed by the casket, paying their last respects. One member of the family was conspicuously absent, Annie Bacon's 2nd son, locked in Cook County Jail, awaiting trial for murder. After about an hour, the Reverend Gregory Daniels approached a lectern. In a far-reaching preacher's voice, he began to speak, then stopped abruptly, and turned to confer with 3 or 4 men in Islamic dress. I've witnessed this. Daniel stepped back and a call went out. All the Masaliks, all the Masaliks, please come forward. Men from their teens to their 50s, all wearing prayer caps and varying degrees of Islamic garb, gathered around the casket. Their backs to the room, they chanted in responsive chorus a series of Islamic prayers in Arabic. 10 minutes later, they finished, saying in English, "Those who Allah causes to die, let them die in faith." Then, without a further word, they left the room. The Christian service started again, as if nothing had just happened. Afterwards, the mourners mingled outside, watched by passerby, and a few undercover policemen. Okay, afterwards, the mourners mingled outside, watched by passerbys, and a few undercover policemen. A television crew, drawn not by Benny, but by the men who chanted the Arabic prayers and by their leader, Benny's absent brother, scurried across Stony Island for a glimpse of Annie Bacon being helped into a limousine for the trip to the cemetery. As the cameras rolled, Jeff Fort's mother climbed back out of the car and promptly fainted. Boy, our women used to be on cold, boy. They used to faint to death. Boy, the police shoot the kid. They wasn't out there yapping. Boy, they come, woo, boy, you need to faint them and pick them up. Boy, they was on cold. Boy, they knew how to play the drama up, whether it was bored or maybe we're desensitized to it. I don't know, but they knew, boy, they wasn't trying to be, the father, the mother, and the son, you know what I mean, and the Holy Spirit. Boy, they just pass out. This is Jeff Ford's mom. And I you see evidence of that. At
Man, my
Emmett
mom
Till's
passed
funeral.
out. My mom passed out at my father's funeral.
See,
she had to leave. Took her
they
out of
weren't
there.
processing death like us as much. You know what I mean? As much, as often. They didn't have to as early and often as we did.
Yeah.
We had to process it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was 12, I graduated 13. So when I was 13, as a freshman got murdered by a 22-year-old, in the alley, walking down the alley to the stove. Murdered. Rival gang.
Man.
Dead. You know what I mean? You're processing this at 13.
Yeah.
You know?
Facts.
Then the guy got convicted. I think he pled to a lesser charge, manslaughter or something, and he was out and I went away to school. By the time I got back, he was back on the block.
Wow.
I think so. That was my freshman year. Yep. So by the time freshman year at U of I, he was back on the block, bro. Because that was back when you was serving 60% of the time. He probably had served most of it in the county while he was waiting for trial. Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
so
that's crazy.
But okay. Yeah, that's wild, man. Okay. A few hours later, Rich Kolovich sat in a booth at a police hangout on the southwest side, setting the record straight about Jeff Fort. He seemed reluctant at first, answering questions brusquely and in a monotone. But his interest was too keen. His emotional investment far too great for him to hold back so long. Soon the stories flowed as easily as the Rolling Rock beer, and he tells quite, and he, I don't know. The conversation lasted as long as the bar stayed open and then spilled out into the parking lot. Nearly every cop who has worked the South Side boasts of arresting Jeff Fort or beating the hell out of him. The stories can be even more outrageous. Fort jumped on his victims from trees, you'll hear. He patterned himself after Hitler, threatened to kill Jesse Jackson, and made Richard Spex his main squeeze in prison. Yeah, I never heard that. Most of the stories are unprovable. Kolovich concedes. Like the murder estimate, Jeff Fort is directly or indirectly responsible for 500 to 1,000 murders. He flatly states, this is 12, though he knows Fort has yet to be convicted for a single slaying. Still, nobody knows the El Rukins like Kolovich and his partner, Sergeant Dan O'Branigan, known by gang members as Blondie. Listen to this, so. This is weird. The two Irish cops, Kolovich's mother is Irish, have been fighting Jeff Fort since they were students at Mount Carmel High School.
Oh my God.
In Woodlawn, and the Blackstone Rangers ruled the neighborhood. They've spent 12 years of their police careers pursuing the El Rukn.
Wow.
So they've been ops from the beginning.
Yeah.
And these are the people who we take their testimony in court. Right? Against
say
people.
That got no proof of any of that. Because, none. Just talking out his, and because he been in op since high school.
Right. We personally know these people. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've been hating on me since high school, looking for crimes. Now, the bar was emptying out, but Kolovitz was just getting started. Once he recalled the duo raided an El Rukn-owned apartment building in the middle of the night. In the confusion, several El Rukns rushed down the hall and pinned Brannigan in a corner, guns cocked and pointed at his head. Luckily, Kolovitz says Fort came running down the hall, wearing only his underwear. Kolovitz, who had ducked into an empty apartment, says he grabbed Fort and stuck a gun in his armpit. I told him, let him go or you're dead. Danny and I are the El Rukn personal police. Over the years, he and his partner got to know Fort so well that they would often stop to talk with him on the street outside of the El Rukn Mosque at 39th and Drexel. It was during one of those conversations, Kolovitz says, that putting Fort in jail became more of a job. Fort told me, lumberjack, you ain't never going to put me away. More than anything else, that spurred us on. At 41, Jeff Fort is the nightmare of the 60s that just won't go away. He made his reputation in a tumultuous decade as one of the leaders of the Blackstone Ranger Street Gang and its successors, the Black Pt2 Nation. Hated and harassed by the police, admired and feared by thousands of poor black kids, embraced and funded by well-intentioned idealists trying to end gang violence and attack poverty and racism, he played a role in the lives of some of the biggest names in town. That's why they locked him up. Richard J. Daley and his son, Charles Percy, Jim Thompson, James Montgomery, Jane Byrne, Jesse Jackson, just to name a few. Fort's potential for good or bad was once hotly debated. But by the 1970s, his detractors had won. Since then, his story has been told almost exclusively by police and prosecutors. Law enforcement agencies have spent millions to destroy his group and imprison him forever. They may finally have succeeded. Last year, Fort was sentenced to 80 years in prison as the first man in the U.S. to be convicted of terrorism. Both police and prosecutors aren't taking anything for granted. The Cook County State's Attorney is trying Fort on charges that he ordered murder of the reputed dope dealer Willie Bibbs. The El Rukns are tangled in an alleged murder-for-hire scheme that also resulted in the indictment of black businessman Noah Robinson. And sources say federal prosecutors will likely bring new charges of heroin trafficking and racketeering against Fort any time now. Many of Fort's supporters from the old days are still around, but they are reluctant to talk. When they do, they sometimes slip into reverie about an era in which every year seemed like a decade. They all describe him in the same way: charismatic, street smart, diplomatic, an organizational genius, and a true leader. For them, the worst part of the nightmare of Jeff Fort is wondering if he could have turned out differently. Jeff was born on February 20th, 1947 in Aberdeen, Mississippi, the second of 10 children born to Annie and John Lee Fort, who made their living picking cotton. The Forts migrated to Chicago in '55, and John Lee went to work for U.S. Steel. Annie Bacon, who divorced and remarried 15 years ago, says her family first moved to 22nd Street and Cottage, but soon relocated to Woodlawn. At some point, the Forts moved into a big red of brick building at 6536 South Blackstone Avenue. I had to ask Brown Time's mom if they was living in that building, because he had moved over there. But it looks like it's building. All right, a red brick building at 6536 South Blackstone Avenue, by the corner where the Stone Rangers was born. He enrolled at Scott Elementary on 64th and Blackstone. The Forts were very attractive people. Political and organizational sense must have run in his family. Jeff's eyes had that brown-eyed, commanding presence that drew you in. I like Jeff. I don't like what he did. This is the cop talking, but I liked him. Somehow, school officials never quite picked up on his abilities. One teacher recalls he had reading problems and may have been dyslexic. He still is considered a functional illiterate. Another teacher says Fort may have been put in a class for the mentally handicapped. He didn't stay in school long. Yeah, they put him in the LD. So, like so many ghetto kids, Fort hit the streets and found trouble. He was sent to the Youth Correctional Center in St. Charles in 1962. He was paroled. On September 23rd, 64, he was arrested as an adult for robbery, the first of some 45 entries on a rap sheet that would grow to be 4.5 pages long. Fort has had a dozen convictions, though. Only 4 of them, 3 for conspiracy, 1 for jumping bail, led to him serving prison time. Former juvenile parole officer Ron Townsend remembers Ford as a quiet, unassuming 15-year-old who answered questions politely but never said more than was necessary. But there was another side to Jeff Ford. Teachers say the scrawny 140-pounder broke up fights like a cyclone, oblivious to his own personal physical harm. Because violence was the norm in Woodlawn, Ford was known to be ruthless. Jeff had the reputation as someone who could kill a brick. It was Fort's charisma and his amazing recruiting skills that made him special. He traveled with an entourage wearing snappy clothes that dictated neighborhood fashion. And when he walked by Woodlawn's elementary schools, the kids on the playground would pile up along the fence just to get a look at him. Fort was like the godfather. He was giving shoes to kids who needed them, finding homes for families who were getting evicted. Fort's unusual hold over hundreds of young boys attracted the attention of Ed Woods, a youth worker who arrived at the Woodlawn Boys Club in the late 1960s and late 63. Woods was trying to get the gangs off the street and into the gymnasiums, but he needed bodies, so he went to Jeff Fort. It was around 1964. I went to Jeff's house and met his mother. I told them what I wanted to do. I had 20 guys. The next day, I had 200. Anyone who saw Jeff Fort handle the little kids got the impression that he was a substitute big brother. He wasn't much older than the kids. Sounds like Saint. He wasn't much older than the kids who admired him, but he appeared to be older.
Yeah.
There are tough kids who have seen more of life than most of us will ever see. They have middle-aged eyes but young faces. Jeff was one of them. Chicago's West Side was in flames on April 5th, 1968, the day after Reverend Martin Luther King was shot in Woodlawn. Officials at Mount Carmel, they stole this in the Malcolm X movie. Tell you about history. Yeah. Chicago's West Side was in flames on April 5th, 1968, the day after the Reverend Martin Luther King was shot. Rest his soul. In Woodlawn, officials at Mount Carmel High School, 64th and Dante, you know where that is, ended classes early and ordered CTA buses to take the 700 white students out of the neighborhood. Without warning, a long line of Blackstone Rangers surrounded the buses and began rocking them. I thought they were going to tip them over, recalls former Scott School principal Norman Silver, who watched the scene from his office window. Close ass, you know. But then Fort raised his arm again, and they stopped, did an about face, and marched right back. He controlled them just like a general in the army. After the buses were loaded, the Rangers lined 64th Street for 2 or 3 blocks. Fort was atop a mailbox. As each bus drove by, he held up a long stick, and the Rangers roared a deafening black stone. It was incredible theater, says the Reverend Tracy O'Sullivan, pastor of St. Clara, St. Cyril Roman Catholic Church at 64th Woodlawn. He decided right on the spot that it would be wrong to attack the school. He was reading the scene, so he's talking about Jeff. Jeff was reading the scene beyond the emotion of revenge and saying, how can I use this situation to further my power? This guy was genius. I never had a doubt about that from seeing him in operation, says O'Sullivan. Between 58 and 64, Woodlawn had changed from white to black and doubled in size. Suddenly, there were 7 times as many children as before, and turf, any turf became their overriding passion. Block by block, Woodlawn's gangs laid claim to their own patch of grass and cement. Under Fort's guidance, the Blackstone Rangers grew from a handful of kids on a street corner to an estimated 200 members in 65, 1,500 members in 66, and 3,000 members in 67. The following year, Ranger President Eugene Bull Harrison went to prison, and Jeff Fort, his second in command, inherited. So yeah, it sounds like Bull was the founder, and Jeff, took it over, and he was probably like Malcolm X to the nation. And Bull Harrison went to prison, and Jeff Fort, his second in command, inherited a 5,000-member confederation of street gangs that stretched from 31st Street to South Shore. Fort renamed the gang the Black pt2 Nation. According to the gang, the P stood for peace, prosperity, people, and power. The Rangers spent most of their time fighting their arch rivals, the East Side Disciples, in bloody turf wars that claimed dozens of lives. Fort negotiated many peace treaties, but they never lasted. In 1964, a white minister named John Fry became the pastor of the historic First Presbyterian Church of Chicago at 64th and Kimbark. To quell gang wars, Fry opened his church to the Blackstone Rangers. Soon foundations and not-for-profit organizations such as the Kettering Foundation, the Community Renewal Society, and the W. Clement Stone Foundation rushed in with grants to help channel the gang's power into positive community action. Oh boy, she started hearing foundation. Yeah, you got to buy from it. Yeah, you got to buy from it. Charles LaPaglia, a youth worker at the church, held leadership training sessions with Rangers, but LaPaglia says he and Fry wound up learning more from Jeff Fort than they could ever have taught him. One story seems especially to have struck him. When Fort was 13, LaPaglia says he tried to take the area around 63rd and Stony, you know exactly where that is, and turn it into the Enchanted City. Listen to this, bro. It was ironic. That area was really the lowest of the low, where all the prostitutes hung out. The Enchanted City had sort of magical powers, Fort believed that. Fort believed that they could all organize around the idea and develop rules of interaction and engagement, like respecting the children, the June bugs, he called them. They would all be part of the Enchanted City. But the Enchanted City never happened and gang violence continued. Police raided they raided a church. Police raided First Presbyterian Church and confiscated several guns the Rangers had turned over to Fry and the gang troops. Now, so they said, you know how you had those gang give backs? You remember how the OGs didn't trust? Remember you had the old people like, Bro, they used to tell us, turn in your weapons. No questions asked, you won't be charged. And then they would turn around and charge you for the shit. That's how they started that program.
Man.
Police raided First Presbyterian and confiscated several guns the Rangers had turned over to Fry. They were cleaning up in a gang truce. They were doing good. But the damage was done and the church was labeled the Arsenal for the Blackstone Rangers. In 1967, 2 radically different solutions to the gang violence was advanced. The police created a 10-man gang intelligence unit to break up the gangs, and a fledgling black community group called the Woodline Organization got a $927,341 federal grant to start a gang-run job training program that would provide classes to 800 Rangers and disciples. James Montgomery had them all in there together. James Montgomery vividly recalls the first time he met Jeff. The year was 71. Richard Nixon was in the White House. The U.S. Attorney for Northern Illinois was a young, ambitious Republican named James R. Thompson. The war on poverty was over. The war on the left was in full swing. Just 2 years earlier, Senator Charles Percy had praised Jeff Fort as a bright young man who should enter politics and had invited him to Nixon's inauguration. So they were trying to flip him. Once they couldn't flip him, he became public enemy number one. Fort sent 2 lieutenants in his place, but by 1971, the party was over. Montgomery would later serve as Mayor Harold Washington's Corporation Counsel. But in 71, he was a young lawyer in what he calls his Black Rage days, defending Black Panthers and civil rights leaders. One day, Montgomery recalls he held an impromptu press conference on the courthouse steps, lashing out at the establishment. Afterwards, he was approached by 2 young Black men. "Jim, you hate these MFs as much as we do," Jeff Fort said. "Why don't you represent us?" Fort needed a good lawyer. The TWO job training program had turned into a scandal, and in March, Jim Thompson had indicted Fort and 23 Stones on conspiring to defraud the U.S. Montgomery was intrigued by the government's case. It read like a blueprint for a right-wing counterattack on the liberalism of the 60s. Destroy one of the last vestiges of the war on poverty, and put away a young man who posed a threat to Mayor Daley's tight reign on Black Chicago, all in one neat, orderly showcase of trial where we, the Black people, we just gonna sit around. You sit around because they told us you know, regardless of the kids love them. Too bad. We won't sit here and listen with the white men.
He just told her that he was a criminal. He
stole them up.
They didn't tell her that we only hear the police and the prosecutors don't hear.
They didn't tell us out the 937,000 they got that they only convicted him allegedly misappropriating $2,000. $2,000. He could have paid that back. He wiped his ass with $2,000. $2,000. They came and did the accounting. That's crazy.
That is beyond stupid.
Criminalize everything we do. So Daley knew how gangs operated. He had been in one himself. Didn't I say that earlier? Because when Capone was saying vote early and vote often in your quote, Daley was known to say that. That's all gangster talk. It's all code. Daley knew how gangs operated. He had been in one himself, says Kenneth Anderson, an associate professor. And you know, his son got caught up. You remember his son that got caught up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was out there gang banging. Yeah, but he couldn't become mayor. Fort had circumvented the machine. Daley knew the threat Fort and his followers represented, so he stayed on their asses. This is why we, Silverdale, Riverdale. You know what I mean? We got to get out of there. Daley, once we get bigger, we can, Now, Daley's strategy, right, was to harass the gangs at every turn and jail their leaders. That was his strategy. The Gang Intelligence Unit staged repeated raids on TWO's training centers. Fort was arrested for murder and kept in jail for 5 months until March 1968 when the charges were dropped. Now, they do that. They know the charges are going to be dropped, but they want to take you out of the picture so they can start, getting involved.
Yeah.
Infiltrating. Talking to the informants.
Fuckery.
Yeah. Now, more important, in December of '67, the Chicago Tribune, acting on a police tip, charged TWO with mismanagement. So the Tribune acting on a police tip. Charged? Well, they can't charge. It should be the other way around. Shouldn't the police be acting on a Tribune tip? I don't know. But charged TWO with mismanagement and the Blackstone Rangers with extortion. The story scared off corporations that had pledged to hire the program's trainees, its supporters say. In the summer of '68, Senator John McClellan held dramatic hearings on the TWO program. He's a Democrat. Okay, he's a Democrat.
Definitely.
Are you Democrats out there? All right. And these people, remember, we were voting Republican. It's right. And then these same people, you got to vote Democrat. Okay. In the summer of '68, Senator John McClellan, Democrat from Arkansas, held dramatic hearings on the TWO program. When Fort was called as a witness, his attorney, Marshall Patner, advised him not to testify. Just what I was talking about. Fort rose, clenched his fist, and stalked out of the room. He was cited for contempt of Congress and later convicted. And actually, so he did answer a question. He said his name and then he walked out. Criminal charges seemed imminent, but in fact, it took nearly 4 years in a Republican administration to indict anybody. And then the grand jury brought charges only against Blackstone Rangers. Some of the East Side disciples became key witnesses for the prosecution. There you go, Self. See that? Did you hear that?
Wow.
That opposing group. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, like, were they controlled by the government from the whole time?
That's what, you know.
We insinuate.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been talking to you. Go ahead.
Pop up out of nowhere, this duality. I know it's got to be a duality, but they come up and then they're in situations like this.
And then they're death row records.
Right.
And then Pac is dead. You know what I mean? But this is another show that we're unpacking. We're unpacking that in our gangs, in our Dead Rapper series. We don't, but it's overlapping.
187.
Yeah.
It all over.
It's overlapping. All right, but let's go back to the disciples, allegedly. Some of the East Side disciples allegedly became key witnesses for the prosecution. Wow. No one really disputed the allegation that the Rangers had been pocketing government money. That was the point of the program, Montgomery argued. Gangbangers were being paid to stay off the streets and to stop killing one another, he said at the trial. Didn't I suggest that stuff on our thing? On our Yeah. How can you How can you charge the gangs with extortion when the program intended all along to transfer money from the feds to the gang? Assistant U.S. Attorney Samuel K. Skinner, a protege of Jim Thompson, argued otherwise. He produced evidence that gang members had falsified attendance sheets and turned over stipend checks. Same shit everybody all over the city was doing, bro. I mean, you know, it's really disingenuous. Even if this happened, which I doubt it did, it's the same shit Daley's boys were doing and the Verdoliak boys were doing. It's the same shit.
Of course.
Skimming.
But, yeah, like we say here that it's all, they put a light on us while they do what they do. They have their whole hand over here talking about some, look over there for them, look over there for them, and then they in your pocket with the other hand.
Yeah.
Bait and switch.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
If allegedly, if that's what this was happening, because you know what I mean, allegedly. They saying it happened, but I'm saying allegedly, because
Now, we knew what we were dealing with. According to Gibbs, this was no Sunday school class. The way to destroy the gang was to wean the members away from the gang. That was my philosophy. And the way to do that was to provide them with another alternative. That's the same thing Jacob said when we did, our show with him.
Yeah.
Not say be a nice little boy and go back to high school and get your GED. No, we're going to get you a JOB.
Yeah.
Because this little training stipend I'm giving you, $45 a week, ain't shit. I'm going to get you a job that makes you $150 a week, and we'll buy you a new pair of shoes, sweater, everything. You'll get used to that, and you won't have time for no game. Others say the flood of grant money overwhelmed the gang. The money was coming so fast and so rapidly, the Rangers couldn't sort out the good offers from the bad. Yeah, they were set up. Ultimately, by not having that kind of guidance, they began to make their own choices, and they made some bad ones. People were fighting over the grants. Jeff and his group became tough guys for hire. People made all kind of offers, and they learned how to get everything they wanted. That's what corrupted them. So much money being available. Everyone wanted to save the poor. Everyone had the perfect answer. When the trial was over, Jeff Fort was found guilty of conspiring to misapply federal funds. What the fuck does that mean?
$2,000? Are you kidding me?
Was he conspiring to misapply the funds, or did he misapply the funds? What does conspiring mean? This is what I'm saying. He was convicted of conspiring.
That sounds like he didn't actually do any of it. So
yeah, it sounds like he would be planning it.
Yeah. And not having no hands involved, because.
Okay, so to put it simply, a criminal conspiracy is an agreement to commit an unlawful act. The agreement itself is the crime, but at least one co-conspirator must take an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy under the federal conspiracy statute. The agreement by two or more persons, it's a trick bag, is the essence of the crime. So you get an informant of some, wow.
So he purposefully misappropriated $2,800. Like, that's some money, you know what I mean? $2,000. That's how big was the grant? The grant was huge, right?
937 something thousand. And they're claiming that he personally, with all the stuff else that they said he had his hands in.
Right. He decided that, we should just make that,
put that in my pocket and have it traceable.
Yeah. So it's missing.
Right. And it could be tracked right back to me.
So it's missing,
Yeah. Not 20,000, so not 200 grand.
Right.
That's crazy.
That is asinine, bro.
And you guys make sure and check that chat for me, so.
Okay. Subject is this. I'm the overseer. Said the subject is deep. Unpacking history. That was before halftime. We back. Cortez Scott says,
"What up, Noop?"
Yes, sir. Thank you for your support, Noop. Educate brothers. It's important to the culture.
Facts. So people were fighting over the grants, according to this guy. So when the trial was over, Jeff was found guilty of conspiring to misapply federal funds and was sentenced to 5 years and 11 work. It was all a setup from the beginning. He had been paid a total of $1,467.79 as a center chief. TWO, for its part, never did spend all of its grant money, turning back an estimated $200,000 to the federal government. By conservative estimate, barely 1/3 of the $927,341 grant had gone to the Blackstone Rangers. But these details were quickly forgotten. Over time, whenever the jobs program was mentioned, all anyone could remember was that Jeff Fort had conned the U.S. government out of $1 million. And that's how they used to talk.
Right.
That's the shit I used to hear.
Right.
Because people only listen to headlines and they listen to these white people lying on TV and they don't listen to this gutter language and unpack it.
Facts. Because there's that.
He didn't steal no $1 million from the government.
No. He supposedly misappropriated $2,000 out of $1 million. What's the?
Correct.
They could have easily found that.
Correct. Montgomery had done his best, but one of Fort's overzealous followers wasn't satisfied and threatened a lawyer. Okay. Montgomery dismissed the threat, but after the trial, he was relaxing on his yacht in Jackson Harbor when he saw the young man staring menacingly at him from across the park. Alarmed, Montgomery went to see Jeff Fort in jail. Jeff said, "Jim, I'm sorry. I'll take care of that right away. It won't happen again." A few weeks later, two muscular black youths showed up. The offender wedged uncomfortably between them. "We brought this guy here to apologize to you," they told Montgomery. "And if he doesn't, he won't be walking anymore." At the corner of 39th and Drexel, an old movie theater that has been renovated into the El Rukin Mosque, above a fortified steel door is painted Fort. The mosque is a scant 5 miles from the Loop, but it might as well be in a different world. And we're gonna park that right there because we're getting into beyond the time period where we're at. And then so in the next one, so we're going to break down Larry Hoover in such a fashion as well. Give backstory like that.
Yeah, cool. That's some balance.
We need the balance, because the white people's reporting is always one-sided.
Completely crapulous.
I mean, look, Michael Jordan is an asshole. Michael Jackson is a pedophile. Who else? R. Kelly is a pedophile. What's his name? Bill Cosby is a
rapist.
Drugs. Yeah. Yes. Just. I mean, we can go on and on. O.J. Simpson is a double murderer.
Man.
Not saying that celebrities don't commit crimes.
No, I'm not saying that at all, but like all of them don't, though. I mean,
man, they bring all of us to jail so that they can flip us. I mean, whether it's tax evasion, even if you're not a thug, Richard Pryor, what's his name? Wesley Snipes, after he did Nino Brown, they looked at that and took him seriously. They said, you know what I mean? And all you had to do was tell them, no, that was a movie. You know what I mean? I didn't write that. You know what I mean? But they didn't like Jeff Swag, man, walking out of Congress like that.
Hey, he did what he did. It was like, hey, it's my name. I'm not supposed to speak, so I'm not going to speak. I'm leaving.
Hey, Omni said Chief was paid $1,400 for his job as censor chief. Balance.
Right.
He didn't even take a lot off the top.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So he didn't even take a lot off the top.
I mean, I'm saying it's $1 million grant, and he only took $1,400 for his salary, and they saying that he stole $2,000, but it was still $200,000 that they got back or something. Crazy, man.
Well, what that is telling me clearly is I don't want a penny from the federal government. It's a trick bag.
Yeah.
It is. 1 penny. And now you're conspiring. They start using those words. You be sitting there like, what? I did what? You know what I mean?
That mean he didn't actually do the embezzlement, but
correct.
He was conspiring to do it. Talked about it. That's madness.
Yeah, we got to change that. We got to fight to change that law. That law is dumb.
Yeah, it's how they got, it's part of that RICO, the RICO stuff.
Yes.
That's what it's.
Yes. Yes, they threw in a whole lot of crap. And that sidebar, I finally got an understanding what that 13th Amendment went into the 14th Amendment, because the 14th Amendment was supposed to give us rights. And so what the Pinkman did was, how they have pork and anything that they get passed. They said, okay, we'll give you all that, but you got to give corporations the same rights you gave those niggas. And for some reason, the North was agreeing to this. After fighting a bloody war, I can't understand, which I smell, I don't know if I smell pussy or if I smell, there's something wrong here. That maybe because all these people are all related. Is that itself? They're all cousins and shit?
Yeah, they just wanted it to be over with. So
yeah,
they conceded that or whatever they conceded this, and
but I think you're right.
Yeah,
but the South, man, they whacked Lincoln like the war never ended for them.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they're wiping poop on the
yeah,
in the Capitol wall.
Period. So
small
we want our country back. I want my country back. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I looked up and who's that in the White House? What happened? We want our country back. And then
I would like to call that. I would like to call that white privilege, bro. But black people do it now. You know what I mean? Crimes on camera. You know what I mean? Years ago we'd have never said that's white privilege to get on camera and say, "Look, Nancy Pelosi, I'm stealing your shit. This is me in your office right now, and I'm stealing it."
On
You know what I
live.
mean? Yes, yes, but we do it.
Well, that's where they got it from.
Yes, they got it from us. So that was black privilege. But for you kids out there, feds just be letting y'all do stuff, don't they, so they can run up the case.
Those platforms are not.
They come to get everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not private, so don't think that they are. They set up by, ABC.
Yes, and you agreed to it.
Everybody around,
and you agreed to it in the agreements that nobody reads. Even if you're on like Marco Polo or something, you could be sitting back there thinking you're having a private conversation with somebody, and if you're conspiring, right? So
they can dig it right on up there.
He and that guy were conspiring. But remember, they said one of them had to do something. So then what they'll do is flip one of them.
Yeah, I made a act in Georgia. And got him for something else, and
that's enough to get them a warrant.
We'll forget all of that. So
yes.
You had what conversation with the wordsmith? What was that? He said what?
Yeah.
He wasn't joking, was he?
Yeah. And then when they tell you your grandkids will be, when you get out, your grandkids will be 47 years old. You know what I mean? When they put that into, boy, it takes a rock. You know what I mean? But kids, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't do it.
Woo!
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
All right, man. So I think we kind of brought this up to the 70s where we wanted to get it to, and Self, as we pointed out, that's when there was a spike in crime, murders, right? And that could be due to a whole bunch of factors. I know there was a more proliferation of guns.
Yeah.
Cats came back after that war, and I think you're seeing a similar thing now, which was predicted. These cats are learning how to kill, going through the processes of killing, or even if they're just simulating it in their mind through training, the video games, and then they're coming home, and it's easy to kill.
Yeah, I mean, once you go through, basic training and then go into live action and have had some live action, then you are completely a killer. That's a fact. And get released into the neighborhoods. I mean,
some of them got the PTSD.
Yeah, I mean, most of them. I don't know too many that's not been in an active situation and not. Shit, you can get PTSD from the training that they get.
Yeah, depending on how you came up, you ain't lying, Self. I know somebody very close that went off to that Marines. Yep, never was the same. Yeah, some people get it from pledging.
Yeah,
never the same.
Facts.
Depends on the program and the individual.
Facts.
Right. So like I said, let's see where we're at. Oh, the riddle. So let me go ahead and we're gonna go back to the riddle. Nobody answered the riddle yet in the chat. So the riddle is, let's see, meditation method. 6-year-old. There's the riddle. See the riddle on here, so? I got it.
Okay.
What can you hold in your left hand, but never in your right hand? What can you hold in your left hand, but never in your right hand? You tapping out?
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
All right. Production, cut his camera off. I'm going to show you. Now, it says, what can you hold in your left hand? What can you hold? This is my left hand. In your left hand. But never in your right hand. So I can hold this hand my right hand in my left hand, right? And I can't hold my right hand in my right hand. So the answer is your right hand. Yeah. Hmm? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the riddle du jour. That's the riddle du jour. Yeah, so I think we pretty much hit everything. I want to throw it off to you, but before we do that, bro, we did that, and
we got a big show, really big show tomorrow. Really big show tomorrow. Yeah, house series continuation. Yeah, really
John
big.
Hunt, Reggie Corners. I mean, these guys were right there at the beginning with Rob Williams, and that's the guy who, the Silverback, the ownership, who started the Warehouse and the Music Box, and found cats like Ronnie Hardy, rest his soul, and Frankie Knuckles, rest up. So that's Rob Williams, but he's not on the show. But we're having guys who work directly with him. Were there in the beginning and did the promotions, things like that. So we're looking forward to it. We suggest you cats tune in tomorrow. You're going to be there or you're going to be L7. I'll toss it to my brother here for Wordsmith's final word.
Man. So for the final words, it's not disturbing to know that most of the gangs was white in this urban. I didn't know that until tonight. I did, but in spite, I try to not act like I know a lot. But they did a lot of things that made us have to move in that direction, serving the community and protection, giving them grants without no direction. We all need to take some deep introspection and see that they are locking up the silverbacks. We got to get together and put a stop to